Ah, good, you're here. Let's get down to business. I can trust you, can't I? Good. I have reason to believe we have a spy within our ranks, placed by the Thalmor. There is no other explanation. The Thalmor always seem to be one step ahead of us. It explains the attacks on the convoys. And just 3 days ago, one of our highest-ranking officers was assassinated at a Stormcloak camp in the Reach. He was there on top-secret business. No one should have known he was there. That's the problem. I don't know. But, given how much they know about our plans, it must be one of our officers. Exactly. As a matter of fact, I do have one plan. If you're willing to help me, that is. I need you to meet with 3 senior officers and give them some information. You're going to tell them that I will be traveling to a small camp away from the major cities. And you're going to tell them I will have only a few guards. The twist is, you are going to tell each of the officers a different location. There is no way the Thalmor can resist taking me out, so you can bet that they will have their men waiting at whatever location the spy tells them. We'll send men to each of the locations and see if any Thalmor show up. Whichever location they do show up to tells us who the spy is. As do I. Rather cunning if I do say so myself. Good. Talos be with you, soldier.
Yes. Can I help you? Got you on courier duty again, has he? Very well. What is it? Leaving Windhelm. Where is he going? Yes, I know it. I suppose we'll be coming along as well, along with God's knows how many guards. Really? Why's that? I see. Fair enough. Thank you for telling me.
My cousin's out fighting dragons, and what do I get?
Now, before all this started, I promised that I would answer any questions you had. And I am a man of my word, so go right ahead. What do you want to know? Not very well, I'm afraid. The amount of intel I can get from Cyrodiil is quite scarce, but it isn't painting a very good picture. The Empire is being decimated, and once the Dominion gets through Cyrodiil, their next target is Skyrim. At this rate, they will be here fairly soon. I was born in Dragonbridge, just outside Solitude. My father was in the Legion, and my mother was a maid in the Blue Palace. I also have 2 brothers, Rongvar and Torvald. Since I was a child, I always wanted to be in the Legion, like my father. As soon as we were old enough, me and my brothers all joined up together. This was mere weeks before the Great War broke out. And talk of war was rife, so we were naturally excited. When it did eventually come, me and my brothers weren't deployed to Cyrodiil or Hammerfell as we had wanted. Instead, we stayed in Skyrim as reserves. I suppose we were too young and inexperienced. Well, my father, who was a legate at this point, was sent. He fought in 3 separate battles, the third of which was the Battle of the Red Ring. That is where he died. Some say he died taking on an Altmiri battle mage one-on-one. Some even say he died taking a shot for the Emperor himself. I doubt any of it is true, but Nord warriors are famed for telling tales. Well, naturally we were ready to be deployed and avenge our father. And that is when we received the word that the Empire had surrendered. And then we learned the conditions of that damn treaty the Craven Emperor signed. Hrungvar and myself were having none of it, and left the Legion as soon as was possible. Torvald remained in, however. He believed that this was some kind of trap the Empire were laying, to make the Dominion let their guard down. I told him that he was giving the Empire too much credit, but he wouldn't listen. When I heard of Ulfric's rebellion, I went to Windhelm and joined as soon as I could. I quickly rose through the ranks, and here I am now. Not bad, eh? Torvald remained in the Legion for the rest of his life. He was killed in a Stormcloak ambush not too long ago. Hrungvar was taken prisoner by the Thalmor regarding Talos worship. That was the last we ever saw of him. They are the governing body of the Altmiri Dominion, a group of elven supremacists who came to power by claiming that they ended the Oblivion Crisis. They are the ones who created the alliances with Valenwood and elsewhere that eventually led to the creation of the Altmiri Dominion. The Dominion is the Thalmor's empire. It was founded at the start of the Fourth Era, shortly after the Oblivion Crisis, and consists of Somerset Isles, Valenwood, and elsewhere. And, if you ask them, Cyrodiil, Skyrim, and High Rock. Once their empire was large enough, they attacked the Empire. That was the Great War, which the Dominion won. And here we are today. It has to be to do with the end of the Civil War. The Empire is weakened by the loss of Skyrim and is now isolated without allies. It makes perfect sense for them to attack. I suppose they were waiting out the Civil War so we would kill each other and they didn't have to lift a finger. All right then.
Your hands only. Let's see here. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
Hi.
Yeah?
What can I do for you?
Hi.
Huh?
I know you want to help, but you have to understand that many of my men are still suspicious. It was only some time ago they were fighting against Imperial soldiers.
And what about you?
What are you talking about? You know I appreciate the help. Whilst I don't necessarily agree with fighting alongside the Empire, I am looking at this from an objective standpoint. We need the help, whether my men will admit it or not.
Yes?
Ah, sister, you're here. Excellent. Hold on a moment. Allow me to explain. This is General Stenar Cialius of the Imperial Legion. General Cialius was in charge of the defense of Cyrodiil. Look,
Please, allow me to explain. Please, allow me to explain.
Please, just hear.
So, you're the one Malpin has been telling me about. Let me get a look at you. Malpin tells me you've been key in helping the preparations for the defense of Skyrim. Good. That's what I like to hear from a soldier. As far as we know, I haven't heard anything from any of my colleagues, so for now that is the assumption we are working on. Anyway, enough about that. The remainder of my forces have fallen back to Skyrim, and we're going to use them to bolster the forces already stationed here. I'm afraid so. As of now, Skyrim is the Empire's main military stronghold. Thank you. Look, I'm just going to come out and say it. Cyrodiil has fallen. My remaining forces have fallen back to Skyrim. That means that the Dominion is now heading this way, totally unobstructed.
Listen, I know you don't like it, but Believe me, I don't like it either. But we need every man we can get for this fight. Thank you for understanding.
Yes, what is it? This is not the Civil War. The Dominion does not care about political allegiances. They will destroy us all, Stormcloak and Imperial alike. I'm not asking you to become a permanent ally or to rejoin the Empire. None of that matters right now. All that matters is defeating the Dominion, and we have a much greater chance doing that together.
He's right, you know. As much as it pains me to admit it, he's right. Defeating the Dominion will be easier together. So, what do you say? I'm afraid it must. It's settled then. According to Cialius, the Dominion will be here in a matter of days. I suggest you go and prepare yourself. We have a long fight ahead of us. I will call you back when it is time. As I said, it won't be too long, so don't stray too far from Whiterun, eh? Something I can help you with?
Do you need something? Well, I assume you know the basics. They're a political party in the Somerset Isles and so on. For the last few years, it has been the Thalmor that have been in control of the Empire. There aren't many people who will admit that, but it's true. Every decision the Emperor made, or the Elder Council made, was approved by the Thalmor first. I suppose that's why you wanted to leave. I can hardly blame you, truth be told. They also monitored the Legion to make sure our forces didn't grow too large or too strong. You wouldn't believe the amount of times my request to form a new auxiliary force was met with a rejection letter stamped with the Thalmor sigil. They believe that Mer are the superior race and that men are absolutely inferior. If they had it their way, they would wipe men from the very surface of the planet. I suppose that is the purpose of this latest attack. They've grown ill of us. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't plan on going meekly into the dark. We will have our revenge, you'll see. No, I was just one of the generals helping to lead it. As we lost more battles and the Thalmor kept infiltrating our camps, we lost more and more generals until it was just me left. I made the decision to retreat. It was a long play. I curse myself every day for not seeing it sooner. It was very simple. They caused chaos. Over the course of a few weeks, there were many high-ranking military and political figures disappearing. So when the news that a large Dominion force had crossed the border from Valenwood, everything was thrown into chaos. The Emperor was missing along with half of the Elder Council, and even some generals as well. The other thing you have to remember is that, like here in Skyrim, there are Thalmor agents everywhere, and they only serve to make things worse. On my way to the emergency meeting, I was attacked by 2 agents. Luckily, I seem to have retained at least some of my sword skills. By the time we could assemble anything resembling a defense force, the Dominion had already laid waste to Skingrad. By the time we had anything resembling a strategic plan, most of southern Cyrodiil was aflame. That is why they had such an easy time. I was born in the city of Anvil in Cyrodiil. My parents were both members of the Blades. My mother was killed when I was only a boy on a mission in Black Marsh. My father was part of Emperor Titus Mede II's protection force. When I was a boy, I wanted to be a Blade just like my parents. Before that could happen, the Great War broke out. Like all young men, I joined up with the Legion, just for the duration of the war. I told myself that once I had done my duty and served the Legion in the war, I would drop out and join the Blades. Of course, that wasn't exactly how it played out. After the Empire surrendered and the Blades were disbanded, I decided to stay with the Legion. By that point, I was already a captain and made quite a name for myself. Ah, yes, the Penitus Oculatus. Just as honorable as the Blades, filling the same roles. That's what the Thalmor would have you believe. That's what they told us. I'm no fool, though. I see through the Thalmor's lies. They claim to protect the Emperor and serve the Empire. They're Thalmor puppets, all of them. They'd just as quickly kill the Emperor as protect him if the Thalmor willed it, if you ask me. I won't dishonor my parents' role by affiliating myself with those cheap knockoffs. We all did. This was the Empire we are talking about. The Empire that was founded by Tiber Septim himself and had stood since the start of the Third Era. In our minds, losing the war was impossible. The mere concept of the Empire being defeated was alien to us. I suppose losing the war helped us learn humility, if anything. It's possible. I don't know that all of them are dead, I just haven't heard from them in a while. Even if they did survive, it is unlikely that we'll see any of them. General Darnius was heading in the direction of the Hammerfell border last I heard from him. But whether he made it or not, only the gods know now. As part of the Emperor's protection force, my father stayed at his side throughout the war. When the Emperor led the charge to retake the Imperial City during the Battle of the Red Ring, my father rode alongside him. Eventually, the city was lost again. Once the Emperor decided to surrender to the Dominion, he told his remaining blades to leave the city, as he knew what the Elves wanted to do with them. So my father fled to Cloud Ruler Temple with the rest of his brothers and sisters. Once the White Gold Concordat had been signed and the Legion forced to stand down, the Dominion launched an offensive on Cloud Ruler Temple. They say the Dominion lost thousands before the last of the Blades fell. I can at least find peace in knowing that my father died with his blade in hand and covered with the blood of those damned elves. A fan? No, not exactly. After the Concordat was signed, many of my peers believed that everything was peaceful again. We were beaten by a superior enemy, and that was that. I was no such fool. I knew since day one that the Thalmor were up to something. The way that the Emperor had a Thalmor representative by his side at all times who would whisper things in his ear. And cause him to change his mind seemingly out of nowhere. The way the Thalmor officials saw over every meeting of the Elder Council and vetoed decisions they did not like. I always urged caution, but I was called paranoid by my peers. I know they have a larger plan, but I just don't know what it is. Honestly, it was stubbornness and loyalty. I'm loyal to the Empire, not the Thalmor, and not the Aldmeri Dominion. Despite what I've said about him, I am still fiercely loyal to the Emperor. No matter what people say about him being a puppet, he is my Emperor. Stay safe out there.
Something I can help you with? All right, then.
Supposed to deliver. Your hands only. Let's see here. Looks like that's it. Got to go.
Good, you're here. It has begun. The Dominion's army has arrived.
Do you need
See how this will
something?
fill you in.
Yes, I'm afraid he's right. They're here. We have received some information telling us that the Dominion plan on taking Riften first. It makes sense. Riften will be a valuable staging area for the war here in Skyrim. Anyway, I'm sending you. I know you can fight. This is the opening battle. We need to show them what we can do. What do you say? Excellent. Get there as soon as you can. The attack is not far off. When you arrive in Riften, look for the commander who is leading the defense. It will tell you what to do. Good luck, soldier. May the Nine be with you.
This is it. Time to see if everything we have accomplished has been worth it.
Yes?
I believe in you. Stormblade. Talos be with you.
I'm rather busy. What is... Do you need something? Watch yourself out there.
Can I help you, sister?